And she hasn't done anything. That's a shame. That's a shame.
How can you say I've not done anything?
You haven't done anything.
3-weight world champion.
3-weight world champion against who?
You got your world title. Right, tell me who you won your world title.
I'm gonna hold my hands up.
DBD delivered it to your doorstep.
And that's not my fault.
So tell me what you've done.
No, I'm not.
Tell me what you've done.
I'm
stupid. Stupid comment? You are stupid.
I'm stupid.
Yeah, you're stupid.
Okay. You haven't done anything, Terry.
Oh,
I know that
Caroline,
triggers you. I know that triggers you.
Right.
But it's the truth.
Okay.
You beat Hannah
Rankin.
Rankin. Was it a split decision? Split decision, was it? Was it split?
Can't remember.
Was it split?
Can't remember.
It was split. And then you fought Cecilia Brecas. Was that a draw? I think it was a draw.
Yeah, again.
It's not good.
Wrong way
It's
division.
not good. That's not good. So what have you done then?
Okay.
What have you done?
Well, no, apparently.
There you go.
Just been winging it, just enjoying my time.
Exactly.
I don't think that Terry, the veteran fighter of the two, handled that as well as she could have. She did seem triggered by it, the suggestion that across 3 divisions she's reigned as a champion, she hasn't accomplished anything. What she should have asked is, if I haven't done anything as you say, why are you fighting me and not Elif Nur Turan
or Beatrice Ferreira before her?
If my professional accolades count for nothing, like my win over Rhiannon Dixon, who you were also pursuing, if she's nothing, then why were you pursuing her? And why are you now pursuing me when there are other champions you can pursue?
That's what she should have asked her.
That's what she should have said. She should have called a spade and said, you're only pursuing me because you look at me as the low-hanging fruit.
Because you're a coward.
Because you were afraid of the Brazilian, and now you're shaking in your boots over the Turk. Now, I think that kind of a response requires a level of emotional intelligence that perhaps young Terry still doesn't have, but that's how she should have turned the tables on Carolyn. Well, if the day comes where she gets stopped and she gets knocked out like Terry has on 2 occasions, not a lot of people are going to feel sorry for her. Not based on the chip that she's now got on her shoulder, because if you're going to say that a 3-weight world champion who beat 3 reigning champions across 3 weight classes hasn't accomplished anything, what are you accomplishing by beating her? Nobody's got any illusions about why Carolyn's been such a picky eater. Out of the amateurs and into the pros, she's not cut from the same cloth as Katie Taylor. Katie Taylor took on all comers. She fought anybody and everybody, whereas Carolyn is a lot more specific, a lot more selective. So that if now you're fighting Terry, the least you can do, at the very least, you can stop her like Alicia and Sandy Ryan did, because if you don't, and this goes to a decision,
It's the real reason she wants to fight her, because she's been knocked out 2 times already. My heart is with Terry Harper, but my head is with Carolyn.
I do believe Carolyn is going to win. It's just a question of how.
Talking as much shit as she's talking, she's only putting pressure on herself to not just win, but win big.
I believe that this is all intended to be a build-up, a segue to an Alicia Baumgartner fight. Carolyn is fighting a common opponent with Alicia. Alicia is now fighting a common opponent with Carolyn. It all spells a showdown, a transatlantic one, between the 2 fighters upon Alicia's ascent to the lightweight division. I think it would have been better to have Alicia fight for a title in the lightweight division against, say, Stephanie Hahn,
She's got the WBA.
who is also promoted by MVP.
Stephanie is coming off a career best win over Hall of Fame inductee Holly Holm. And I think a fight with Stephanie might have been a bit bigger than a fight with Bomire Shin. If nothing else, a bit more conducive towards building a Carolyn Dubois fight, because that would have made it a unification match between champions.
Addressing the potentiality of that fight, it does not behoove Alicia Baumgartner to prolong this any longer, because Carolyn is the younger fighter and time is on her side. The longer you wait to fight her, the more dangerous she becomes, so you have to get her now while she's green.
Before the year is out.
Though, is it fair to look past Terry Harper like this? To start talking about a Baumgartner fight before the Harper fight even happens? And unfortunately, I do believe Carolyn is going to beat her. It's just a question of how.
Terry stands no chance?
Her best bet and her best chance would be staying behind a judicious jab, because Carolyn Dubois is likely to be the aggressor in this fight, closing the distance to land bombs on Terry. I think Carolyn is going to be looking for a knockout.
Carolyn is a southpaw.
Terry is an orthodox fighter. If she's smart, she can use that against her to walk her into a straight right hand, what is often dubbed the southpaw killer. If you've got an angry southpaw, an aggressive one in front of you, you can walk them into that punch.
Several times.
Though unfortunately, I feel like Terry has already mentally checked out. Just based on her reaction from the sit-down face-off with Carolyn, she's triggered.
She's emotional.
And I don't know that she's in the right headspace for this assignment. For all we know, mentally, she's already defeated.
And thus, I would love for Terry Harper to win this fight. My heart is with Terry, but my head, it's with Carolyn. I think she's gonna win.
Somebody at the press conference had mentioned something about the Muhammed Ali Act.
There's a difference between, do you want to have a serious conversation about the Muhammad Ali Act, or do you want to fucking showboat here in front of everybody? Because what that guy could have done was, Lene is the head of PR here, could have said, I'd like to sit down and have a serious conversation about the Muhammad Ali Act. No, he gets up on the mic and, you know, those are the typical kind of douchebags that, you know, you deal with in the media sometimes. Amending, we're not changing what, let me tell you, let me tell you what you don't want to fucking kill. Let me tell you what you don't want to kill. Something that has Muhammad Ali's fucking name on it. And so what we did is, the Ali Act will exist, every fucking word, exactly the way it is right now, but we're expanding it. We're expanding it.
Okay.
So it's not going away.
Gotcha.
We're not trying to kill the Muhammad Ali Act or change a fucking letter or period in there, or a comma or anything. These guys that are going out, Eddie Hearn, who lives in fucking UK anyway and doesn't live under the fucking Ali Act unless he's in America or dealing with American fighters. De La Hoya's mentally ill, so even mentioning him is fucking stupid. But and the list goes on and on. The guys that are yelling the loudest about it are part of the problem. Me coming in is a threat to everything that they have and, you know, their way of life. That's how they look at it.
Let me start off by saying that I'm not a UFC fan, and I'm not a Dana White guy, but I agree with everything Dana White said because it's the truth. There have been no changes made to the existing Ali Act, only additions. Additions that allow for the formation of UBOs, a UBO like Zuffa.
And what are the operational parameters for a UBO like Zuffa?
The Ali Act as it was has not changed. It has only been added to. So anything that Sean Zittel wanted to know upon asking that question, the way that he asked it,
that literature was already available for weeks.
So that when he gets up there and does what he did, the intention was not getting an answer to a question, because how you ask a question matters a great deal as to whether or not you'll get an answer, how you ask a question, and when you ask a question.
Those weren't questions that Sean Zittel was asking. Those were statements that he was making, which is being received differently in different quarters. Alan Dawson,
he praised Sean Zittel for what he did.
He said Sean Zittel is the opposite of a douchebag. He cares about the sport and used the appropriate opportunity, an apparent media event, to ask a legitimate question.
Pardon me for saying so, but I saw the same footage that Alan saw, and I didn't see a question being asked.
Alan continued, if anything, it's posturing like Dana White's right here. That's showboating. If White welcomed the serious conversation, he'd have done Sean's interview already. Has he?
No, he hasn't. And he hasn't because it matters a great deal how you ask a question and when. Sean had to know, if you go about this the way that you're about to, not only are you not going to get an answer, you're not going to get access to Dana in the future. Dana just did an interview with IFL TV.
Could have been you, Sean.
And I don't have an axe to grind with Sean. But when I look at what he did, I just see a guy who's virtue signaling.
That's it.
That's all. If what you've been worried about this whole time is that Dana White is going to come over to boxing and start screwing the boxers like he's screwing the UFC guys, they just kicked out $15 million to Conor Benn. Does it sound like Conor's getting screwed?
And do you think that all these boxers that are now flocking over to Zuffa, knowing what Dana White's reputation is, or looking at that contract,
are they getting screwed?
I don't think so. I don't think Robert Garcia, a former fighter, a trainer, a fixture in the sport, would have been funneling his fighters over to Zuffa to see them get jobbed, to see them get screwed.
No, I don't think so. So when Dana White says that the only people harping about his entry into the sport are the people that are part of the problem,
I think he's right.
For the most part, I do. Where was Sean's moral outrage when it came out that Samson Lukowicz lied to Edwin De Los Santos about his purse?
Where was the activism?
Where was the outrage, and where were the picket signs? Where was the token blue-haired, pear-shaped liberal white woman?
Where, Sean?
Fighters have been getting screwed left and right in the sport of boxing right in front of you, and you waited up until now now to start harping about the importance of the Ali Act.
It's convenient.
You waited up until Dana White comes into the sport of boxing to start harping about it. So to Dana, you're gonna seem like a douchebag, and to me,
I just see that you burned a bridge you didn't have to. A bridge that you might have to cross because Zuffa's here to stay.
and now you're not likely to get press credentials from them and whatever events they do, big or small, at the Apex or somewhere else. Because when you did what you did, you weren't looking for an answer to a question, you were trying to rattle Dana White's cage, even if it worked.
It was only momentarily.
Now what? Zuffa's not going anywhere, and they're still signing fighters left and right. They're still doing shows. They're doing one this weekend. A lot has happened since Sean Zittel, quote-unquote, asked that question.
If you even want to call it that.
Looked more to me like he was trying to win brownie points with people when he got up there and did what he did, and that lasted all of 15 seconds. Intelligent people weren't really fooled by it because anything anyone wanted to know about the amendments to the Muhammed Ali Act was already available in literature published weeks before Sean's confrontation with Dana.
So it strikes me as odd that Sean is seemingly so concerned about all of this, but he didn't bother to read it?
So worried about the fighters, but it's the fucking fighters signing to Zuffa.
So worried about how this is going to affect boxing, but it's the fucking boxing people working with Zuffa. Tom Brown of TGB, Tom Loeffler of 360 Promotions,
Robert Garcia, several others. The actual boxing people aren't that worried about it, so why are you?
performative activism.
It's not genuine. It's agenda-driven.
It's performative.
Anybody worried about what Dana White's gonna do at his UBO, his Zuffa boxing, just don't sign to them, and you won't have anything to worry about. If you can't be bothered to read the literature that details what amendments are being made, you don't have to. Just don't sign to Dana, and things remain as they have been. And that's all you need to know.
That you still have a choice.
You couldn't pay me $1 billion to get in the ring with you, bro. There's no way.
They wanted to pay Canelo 150. He didn't want it.
150 mil.
150. He didn't want it.
I mean, it's gonna mess up his legacy a little.
We'll fuck him up. That's
It's another loss on the record.
All right, fuck Canelo. Let's get back to work.
I literally did a video just the other day detailing how for whatever reason, David Benavidez makes it a point to still bring up Canelo over a fight that isn't gonna happen. How many times has he said that it's not gonna happen?
So if it's not going to happen, why are you still talking about it?
What is there to gain from beating this dead horse? And it's what I told you. It's promotion. Because if nothing else, David Benavidez hopes to siphon the fans that have been paying for all of Canelo Alvarez's fights. The ones who pay to be there in attendance and the ones who pay to see them at home. What he hopes to do is to siphon those fans over to himself by continually dragging Canelo Alvarez's name in the mud. It's promotion.
Though I don't think it's having the desired effect, because if you check in with your typical Canelo Alvarez fan, this stuff from David isn't winning them over.
So we're seeing more of a push from popular pugilists to pair up with popular streamers, like Neon, that are popular with the younger crowd that isn't necessarily the boxing crowd. It's a clever idea.
To expose yourself to an entirely different demographic.
We saw Ryan Garcia pair up with popular streamer Christian Rock, MMA correspondent Nina Drama, and Neon, and now we're seeing the same thing from David Benavidez.
So unless David can turn that younger crowd into a paying audience, paying customers that pay for his fight in May with Zurdo Ramirez, it's all for nothing.
Nada.
And I don't get the impression that these young kids are going to kick out $75 for a pay-per-view when they're just as hip to where all the links are as either I or you. They know how to watch a fight for free.
Who you looking at next?
So I want to make the biggest and best fights happen. There's a lot of tough fights out there. There's Dimitri Bivol, Archer Beterbiev, Jai Opetaia. So right now, obviously Canelo too, but...
You see it there. Nobody brought up Canelo Alvarez in this conversation but David himself multiple times. So this idea that whenever the name is mentioned, it's only because he's fielding questions from the media, yeah, that's all bullshit.
You wouldn't have to resort to name-dropping this guy so much if you took the time out to have a legacy of your own, which you still don't have.
We don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I'm going to get Zurdo Ramirez, and I'm going after the biggest and best. Bivol, because he has all the belts at light heavyweight, and then the other monsters, Beterbiev. So I just want to be, by the time I'm done, I want there to be no, I don't want even
They can't say you didn't fight anything.
Yeah, but they can't say that I'm not the best. You know what I mean?
Now say that he goes in there and beats Zurdo Ramirez, becomes unified cruiserweight champion. That's not really the flex that David is making it out to be.
David has been running around saying that if he wins the Zurdo Ramirez fight in May, he will then drop back down to light heavyweight to face either Dimitri Bivol or Artur Beterbiev, both of which will be spoken for the foreseeable future. Bivol is currently in negotiations for a fight with his mandatory challenger Michael Eifert via the IBF. Artur Beterbiev is waiting in the wings for a trilogy with him.
Now theoretically, if Dimitri Bivol is otherwise preoccupied with a mandatory, the only guy available to David would be Artur, who he can fight in defense of his WBC title. But are any of you out there expecting that fight to materialize? Do you really believe that David is going to drop down to 175 after having fought as a cruiserweight? He's going to do all this to fight Artur Beterbiev? Or is he just using the names of these fighters to avoid fighting another name, to avoid fighting Jai Opetaia? Because if Jai wins this weekend and keeps his IBF title, and you win in May,
there's no reason you two champions shouldn't fight. There's no obstacle. There's nothing to get around if you want the fight.
I don't think David does. I literally just heard David Benavidez say that Jai Opetaia is not that well known. He doesn't sell that much, essentially making excuses not to have that fight.
Why?
So that when he brings up Dimitri, and he brings up Artur, and mentions Canelo, I think he's just using them to not fight Jai Opetaia. Though, of course, if he's not going to fight him, and you don't really believe he's going to fight them, what is he going to do for the remainder of the year? Beyond May, if he wins, does David Benavidez fight again this year?
It's a good question.
On more than one occasion, David Benavidez has only made one ring appearance in a calendar year. I remember in March
of 2022.
At the beginning of that year, he fought David Lemieux and took the rest of the year off. He didn't fight again after that. In June of 2024, he fought Alexander Vozdik, and once again, he took the rest of the year off. He didn't fight again after that. So is it possible that after David fights Zurdo, if he wins, he's going to take the rest of the year off, that in all actuality, he's not going to fight any of these people?
He's a fucking scam artist.
Just goes on and on about how he wants to fight the best, but when you look at his resume, his body of work, it just isn't there. The opportunities have been, remember, he was already offered a fight with Artur Beterbiev a long time ago, and he turned it down.
If he wanted to fight Jai Opetaia right now, I'm fairly confident Jai would want to do it and Turkey would want to pay for it.
It's a scam to go on podcast after podcast and interview after interview talking about wanting to fight the best, but never actually doing it. You fight Zurdo Ramirez for 2 alphabet titles in the cruiserweight division. You haven't actually fought the best cruiserweight.
Curious to see what's going to happen after May.